felt like I could give you one. Hi, everybody, and good morning. Welcome to our week number 2 Twitch live stream for my intro psych class. I see some of you getting logged in. If you're joining me for the first time, this is Twitch, and the best way to interact with me is going to be using your chat. I'm going to wait just a second here because it looks like there might be an ad on my end, and maybe on your end too. So I'm just going to stall for a few seconds while everyone gets logged in. Says it has 15 seconds left to go. Those of you who are on here, can you hear me and see me okay? Just make sure everything's coming through all right on your end. Is everything clear? If someone could give me like a thumbs up or a yes in the chat, that would be amazing. All right, someone let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to hope everything is good. Okay, yes, thank you so much, Benjamin. I appreciate that. Yes, thank you, Carmen. Okay, wonderful. All right. So week number 2, we are in the middle of our weeks 1 and 2 group right here. So week 1 was last week. We're in week number 2 right now. So remember that everything from weeks 1 and 2 is due by this Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. So Sunday the 17th, St. Patrick's Day, by 11:59 p.m. So just make sure if you haven't already started week number 1 that you get going on that. I'm going to be focusing on week 2 since last week we talked about all the materials for week number 1. So this week I'll focus on week 2. I'll kind of give you an overview of what we have going on. And I want to talk a lot about exam number 1 today to make sure you're as ready as you can be. I'll, of course, give you the Twitch extra credit question, which you can answer if you're joining me live and have your name in the chat or subscribed. Or if you're watching this later and you are subscribed on Twitch, you can still answer it to get those extra credit points. And then I'll end with seeing if you have any questions for me. So that is our plan for today. We, as I said, are in week number 2. So our focus for this week is chapter 3 on biological psychology and chapter 4 on sensation and perception. So as usual, you're going to want to do 3 things for every chapter. You're going to want to read the chapter in the ebook, which is on the ebook site here up at the top where it says chapters. You're also going to want to read through my lecture, click on any links that are in there, watch any videos that I give you. All of that's going to help you to understand the materials. And then you'll also want to watch the lecture video, which is your opportunity to kind of listen and take notes on me lecturing to PowerPoint slides. Do the same thing for chapter 4, those 3 things. Then you have 2 discussions for this week, like usual. So let's take a look at those together. And as a side note, once the 2 weeks have ended, so on Monday next week, I will be grading all of the materials from weeks 1 and 2. So you'll see those scores. I'll send out an email with some general feedback. So I won't grade any of that likely until like this weekend or until the deadline is passed. But you will see those scores on Monday, and you can expect that for the most part during the semester. But discussion number 3, you have my instructions up here at the top, like always. Make sure to watch my little video. Think about them as like mini papers, really elaborate and show off your knowledge and understanding. This one is about chapter 3. So you're going to be thinking about what are neurons and why are they important. Referencing the specific chain of events and processes involved, describe how neurons communicate with each other. And then you're going to read the article right here on the 10% myth and answer 2 questions related to that, the origins and beginnings, and 2 reasons or pieces of evidence why we know it to be false. I want to give you just a little heads up. Number 2 here is where people tend to lose points. So what I'm really looking for you to describe to me is how neurons communicate with each other. You should be talking about electrochemical communication and what that means and the different chain of events that are involved. It's a really big concept from this unit and from this week. So just make sure that you are elaborating and kind of showing off that knowledge and understanding of that topic right there. And don't forget, as always, to also reply to a classmate to get those 2 points. Discussion number 4 is a little bit of an experiment, which I hope you kind of enjoy and find to be fun. Again, as always, you have my instructions at the top. Watch my little video. Think about them as mini papers. Elaborate and all of that kind of stuff. What you'll do here is you're going to read this little article about smell and memory. Smell and memory are very directly connected to each other, and we're going to play around with that a little bit in this discussion. So you'll read this, and then you're going to do a couple of little things from there. You're going to gather a small sample of some items. Coffee beans, tea, cinnamon, chocolate, chapstick, a candle, grass, dirt, a flower, crayons, Play-Doh, some kind of fresh fruit or herb, some uncommon items of your choosing. Just gather a variety of items that have a smell to them. And if you choose really like general common things, you might just get general associations, but rare things from your life, they might lead to a little bit more of a specific memory. But you're going to take a moment with each sample and you're going to close your eyes and smell that item. Allow yourself to try and fully experience the smell. Clear your mind of as many distractions as you can. Take your time. And then what you're going to write about is, did you experience any memories or associations? Which items did you use and what did you respond to the most or the least? Anything that you might suggest or recommend? Number 2, you're going to talk about what are smell memories and why do they occur, which you can get from the article and also from the textbook. For this discussion, this is the one that people tend to lose their points on. Again, really tell me not only what are smell memories, but what are the processes that make them happen? Why are they occurring? Which again, you'll get from the articles and also from the book. And then finally, number 3, give me a concrete and specific way that you can use smell and memory and the fact that they're linked in your life. So how can we use that in some specific and concrete way in your life to help you? So again, when you're ready, you'll hit reply, as several of you already have done. And then don't forget to also reply to a classmate to get those kind of easy 2 points for the discussion. And as I mentioned earlier, I will be grading those on Monday next week and giving you some feedback. So better to kind of overdo it, I think, on these first ones when you're not sure yet. You can always dial it back a little bit later. I'm going to give you very similar advice for the first exam, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But again, make sure you complete everything from week 1 and then these materials from week 2. We also add our first exam this week. So exam number 1 is due by this Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. And I want to take a little bit of time to talk about it. It is worth 75 points, so it's worth a good amount of your grade. You're going to want to make sure that you study and prepare. So I want to show you where you can take that, talk a little bit about the study guide, and so on. All of the exams, so if you click on exam number 1 on the link right here, it'll tell you you need to go to the ebook site. So remember that all the exams are on the ebook site. Up here at the top, you can click on where it says exams. It's right where you took that mandatory orientation quiz. But if you scroll down just a little bit farther, here you can find the instructions for exams 1 through 4. And I'd like to go through these a little bit here. So for each of the 4 exams that you take in here, you have 75 minutes to complete the test. You also only get 1 attempt at the exam. So make sure that once you open it, you know that you're in it. Be ready to go, be organized, be all prepared before you begin. And a couple of tips about what that means to me anyway. Make sure that you have 75 minutes to spare, that you have good internet, you have a good quiet place to take the exam, set yourself up for success with those things. I'd also really love to recommend that you never wait till the last minute to take the test. Obviously, your schedule is unique to you, but I would really recommend that you don't wait till Sunday night. Inevitably, right? It feels like the second that you wait until Sunday night, the power goes out, the internet goes out, there's an emergency that happens. So just make sure that you really are like giving yourself plenty of time. Try and take it earlier if you can. But also be ready and be organized. And so I'm going to talk about the study guide a little bit in a moment, but you're definitely going to want to study and prepare for this like you would for a normal exam, like that you're taking in person. If you're trying to look up every answer, you are going to run out of time. And that is a little bit purposeful. I don't want you to be looking everything up. Hopefully you can just kind of reference your notes if you get stuck somewhere. But make sure that you're preparing and studying. You can use your notes and book, but again, you will run out of time if you're trying to look it all up. Don't forget to also save all of your answers. As we looked at with that the mandatory orientation quiz, they should all be that like orange gold color before you hit submit. It will give you a score right away. Right, so you'll be able to see how you did on the like multiple choice and true false and matching and all of that stuff. But it doesn't come over into Canvas automatically. So don't panic if you don't see it in Canvas. You will see a score here on the ebook site. And again, don't forget to save everything. That's a really important piece. And the exams, as far as the exams go, I have written the entire exam myself. So the exam should be very directly connected to everything that we're covering. There should be no trick questions, so try and read everything closely, or read it again if you're a little bit confused. I've also given you a study guide, which is right here under the exam link on Canvas. And if you click on study guide number 1, what you'll notice is there's a list of all of the terms and concepts that you need to know for the exam. If it's on here, it will be on the test. If it's not on here, you don't need to know it. So anything on here, make sure you're familiar with it. You could answer questions about it. This exam is on chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. Every exam will be 4 chapters. There's also 2 diagrams on here that you'll need to be able to match to label. So make sure you've practiced with those as well. But if it were me, and just to preface this, I am one of those like obnoxious, have to get 100% kind of students, and I'm upset with myself if I miss one question. If it were me, what I would do is I would really over-prepare for this exam. So what that means to me is I would type all of these out. I'd have it written out and in front of me. That way, if during the exam I get to Pearson's R and I don't remember what it is, I'm not trying to go through the textbook and the lectures and everything to find it. I can just simply reference my notes that are in front of me, that I've typed out or written out, and that would really save me that time and anxiety. So if you know that you tend to be kind of a nervous test taker, that might be really helpful. You don't know what to expect yet with exams for me, that will probably be helpful. I always think it's better to over-prepare for the first exam, and then you can always do a little less in the future if you find that it was too much. But you never want that moment where you're like, I wish I had done more, and it's too late. So if it were me, I would really recommend writing or typing all of this out, having it in front of you, making sure you have a good quiet place with good internet. Don't wait till Sunday night, especially we're supposed to have some windy weather in the next couple of days. So it always feels like when there's wind, it causes problems with the internet. We had internet issues. We had a guy come out and he told us it was because we had too many books near the router, which I thought was kind of ironic and funny. But you never know when, as soon as the wind kicks up, it sometimes causes some issues. So make sure you study, make sure you prepare. Again, if you do those things, you should be in really good shape. The exams, I think, are very straightforward, no trick questions or anything like that. So as long as you know everything on the study guide, you should be in really, really good shape. So those are the big things for this week. And then, of course, I'll post the recording of this later right here if you would like to watch that, or if you're watching it now, you already found it. And then I will give you that extra credit question in a moment, along with a couple of reminders. But while I'm waiting to do that, are there any questions for me? Does anyone have any other questions about the exams? So they're typically between 70 and like 75 questions. So you do have roughly about a minute per question. Some of them are true false, so those should be really fast. And some of them are matching, which should also be a little bit quicker. But in general, you'll have about like 72 to 75 questions on the exams. And as a side note, if you do have a confidential memo with access, please make sure you get that to me as soon as possible so I can get you all set up with whatever timing you might need. Otherwise, it should be plenty of time. The average amount of time that people take is usually right around an hour, right around 60 minutes. But obviously that depends on how much you've studied and all of that kind of stuff. Okay. So any other questions for me while I'm waiting for you? Let me give you a couple of quick reminders. Reminder number 1, if you could please make sure you take a moment to double check your subscription status every week. There aren't very many of you who have done this, and I know it takes a few steps and a few minutes to do, but if you're watching this later, remember that you still can get the extra credit and answer the question on Canvas if you're subscribed. So you could take a few minutes to figure that out, and that will allow you to get that extra extra credit. And if you're joining me now, put your name in the chat. Unless you're subscribed, then you don't need to worry about it. And I really do appreciate those of you taking the time to do this. It saves me a lot of time and energy, and I greatly appreciate that. So if you haven't figured that out yet, remember the instructions are on Canvas, so you have that ability to do at any time. The other reminder that I have for you, if you're looking ahead, I'm going to put this here in the chat. Oops, it kicked me out here. So our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, which is 3:20 at 11:30 a.m. Okay, so we will have a live stream next week, Wednesday at 11:30. The following week, I will actually be on a cruise ship on Wednesday, the 27th. So we won't have a live stream that week. I'll probably post a recording for you or just some reminders. I'll think of you and eat something for each of you, but I won't have internet on the ship. But we will definitely have a live stream next week on the 20th. For our week number 3, I'll give you some feedback about the exam. We'll talk about feedback for the first 2 weeks, and then also what's going on for the next 2 weeks. But let me also give you that Twitch extra credit question. I wrote this out. This should be kind of helpful for you in working on the discussion for this week as well. So this is the week number 2 Twitch extra credit question. What is meant by electrochemical communication? Describe both pieces of how neurons communicate with each other. So what is meant by electrochemical communication? And be sure to describe both pieces of how neurons communicate with each other. And when you're ready to answer that, you'll go over to Canvas. And since we're in week 2, you'll click on optional Twitch extra credit number 2. And then up at the top, click on Start Assignment. And that's going to bring up this text box where you can type your answer. And when you're done, hit submit. You get your little confetti burst and spaceships, rocket ships, of course, right? Why not? And again, remember, you can do this if you're joining me live. You have the question now because I just gave it to you. Or if you're watching this later as a recording, you can subscribe to my Twitch channel, and then I can still see that you did watch it. So I will post the recording of this a little bit later. I'm going to hang out for a little bit to see if any of you have any questions for me about the exam or about any of the materials for this week. Otherwise, kind of short and sweet. Most of our live streams will be closer to like 20-25 minutes. Last week was obviously a little longer just because it was week 1. But if you have any questions, I will hang out for a little while. Otherwise, if you're feeling good, you are welcome to go. Have a wonderful week. Hang in there with the wind tomorrow. I hope we don't lose power and stuff like that. But have a wonderful week, and I